This is Bob Tanem in the Garden on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Put 'em on the side, put 'em right in the middle. Put your homegrown tomato on your hot cake griddle. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would I
Okay, everybody, that's tomatoes are coming up. But hey, in fact, on Tuesday, I'm going to plant my first seed. In other words, I'm not going to plant tomatoes until after Easter this year. So the soil just has to be warmed up. On our line is a very dear friend of mine, Richard Tracy, and we're going to be talking about the brand new book, Garden Writer's nominee for Best of Show and all the rest of that kind of good stuff. Welcome, Richard, for Bob Tanem in the Garden.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing okay for an old man. It's okay, fine. Hey,
we're both old men, Bob.
well, you're a young kid. You're 10 years younger than I am. But anyway, that's another thought. Okay, we're talking about a book. It's a garden. It's a love story, actually, is what the whole book is about, a garden. And several acres in an area around, what's the altitude there?
Penn Valley is about 1,800 feet altitude.
Okay. So it gets a little frost once in a while, a little snow once in a while, and and that type of thing. But it's a garden like no other, and that's a book, and the photography and everything else in it. Bev got the book. She started to look at it. I tried. I said, well, I'm going to have the author in it. I've got to have the book, and I got to go through it and do it. Well, I've got it, and I'll put it down one of these days. And she had to read the whole thing. She said, I can't put it down. The book is beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. And the thing about garden books is that people usually don't. They sort of scan garden books. They look at the pictures and say, I'll get back to the writing later on. And sometimes they do.
Yep. But you get into wonderful things. I've been working on a book for 15 years, I guess. It's been a long time, and I'm still working on it. But we'll get to it one of these days. In fact, the other night, I think I got the first sentence down. And you know how that goes.
That's great. Yeah, the thing about
this garden is a love story, basically, from Anne and Morris, and why trolls and moles and things like that. Why do we meet why do they call it troll? Just because of the fantasy? Is that really what they've created here?
That's John's imagination gone wild. I think he was thinking of this mound that he and his wife purchased. That was when they first got there. It was just a blackened mound with 4 sickly pine trees sitting on it because of the 49er fire in 1989 that just ravaged that part of the county. And it was they had a real estate trailer was sitting there on top, a little one, and they were looking for property for over a year, and they spotted this place, and John said, "This is it," and he called his wife and said, "Go take a look," and she looked too, and they could. From that mound, they could see the Sierra, they could see the Sutter Buttes, they could see Sacramento, they could see the surrounding communities. It was a perfect perch, and it became, it was like a troll has a kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where we got a troll from.
Well, John had a magic number. He was so many different things, plus being an attorney, which is rather interesting to me. I thought maybe I'd like to be an attorney. After a couple of years of law school, I said, forget this. It's not my ball of wax. And I accidentally bought a nursery, and I went from there. So I can understand why a person would do something of this nature and just enjoy gardening and do it all the thing. In this book, now there's, 20 some odd chapters, something like that. And each 24.
Okay.
24, it says here. No, you can't read your own writing, Dick?
Okay. We cut it back. That's right. Okay.
But it was a lot of fun. There's so many other things that are going. The first picture is about the pond. There are several ponds on this garden. There's so many other things going on in this garden. And in fact, I don't know how, and Anne and John, isn't it? Yeah. Take their great pride, and they do it mostly all themselves without maybe some help to lay some concrete or something like that. But initially, they've done it themselves. The only problem I had with it, Richard, is what he does with his roses. But that's another thought.
Well, then, when I first when they told me we would do everything ourselves, I said, "How many roses do you have?" He said, "Oh, about 3,000." I said, "How do two people prune 3,000 roses?" And he said, "I have a long-bladed head shear." And he just goes, and then Ann comes along behind with her Felco pruners and trims up the ones that are looking terrible, and that's it. And then they have someone take away the trippings, So I thought, can they do that? Well, you look at the roses, and they are the happiest, most florific I've ever seen. So I guess you can.
I guess you can. I consider myself probably an expert in this rose field as far as pruning and that type of thing, and I get great results. I do get wonderful results, and I've trained probably a lot of other people. But to have somebody that has success with roses and goes like with the head shears, I thought, oh boy, here we go. But obviously, it works. That's
right. I mean, the plants to say, well, here I'm going to stay, I'm going to survive, and they keep going and keep flowering. And they're gorgeous roses. I mean, I just thought, they fertilize them with the basic nitrogen fertilizer, nothing fancy. They just Ann has been trained as a UC master gardener, and she learned that all of the additives they are in rose food are nice, but not essential to the plant's well-being. So she uses the basic, because they use a lot of it.
Well, yeah, with 3,000 roses.
That's right. That's right. and you think it would be, people may visualize rows and rows of roses like you'll see in a standard rose garden downtown in a city. These roses are all interspersed with other plants, a remarkable variety. I mean, it would take another book to describe the floriculture in this garden.
Well, tell me about that. They do it, so each garden has its own theme.
Yes.
And so they concentrate on that theme. I thought that, some place where, well, in my mind, getting one of those Airstream trailers into a garden and make it something like that, I would have never even thought about making it look like a wonderful little trailer court.
When he first started building it, one of his neighbors called the county and reported him for starting a trailer park.
Yeah, I could understand that, but he had the excuse on that, and he's developed it into such a wonderful situation where some of the trailer, well, what do you call them? The Airstreams are actually used for different purposes. Some of them as guest houses. I would be that. Yeah.
One is Ann's Wine and Spirits Bar, and they have a very close to that. They have the old town of Annsville that John built, unbeknownst to Ann when he was building it, and they have a mine shaft there that has become their wine cellar.
Why not?
Why not? Right. I mean, you just can't imagine, a place with dinosaurs and dragons and a vineyard maze, a 9-hole golf course, and just the list goes on and on with a UFO crash site.
And rinky dinks. Tell me about that.
That's right. The far western rinky dinks are a mythical band of people that do mischief when John and Ann are there. They take tools that were laid down and put them somewhere else. Things like that, So
it's so much fun. And as I say, Bev couldn't put the book down; she had to read the whole thing. And and it's a very interesting thing because there's so much going on here. Not only with the trailer court, time in a bottle, and all the wonderful things going on, but I would have never thought of putting, gardening around a trailer park called Pinky's Trailer Park.
That's right.
They have the sign "No Vacancy." I thought that was just to keep some of their people out. Those kind of people. We don't want to have them in there. But
they've got lots of pink flamingos there, and the plant that's the major plant during the 1950s was the tritoma. What do they call it?
Trillium.
Yeah, it's got a red flower, a red plume on top, and tall. red hot pokers. Yeah.
Hot pokers, red hot pokers. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all over the place, and it's just it looks like it has its own phone booth, which lights up at night, and it's just it looks like the 1950s all over again.
Well, what's so wonderful, the energy part is a lot of it's solar for some of these places that are lit up at night. I thought that's pretty advanced. That takes a lot of knowledge, and I guess the owner did that very same thing.
Oh yeah, they've got two big solar installations, and they're going to a third one so they can keep the house and the garden going. When they first started pumping water for this garden, it was 20 acres. They got a PG&E bill that was astronomical.
Well, I would bet.
Let's go solar. And they said the next year their solar their bill for electricity they had 17 positive dollars in their account. So they, but it was expensive putting that stuff in. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, of course, money is no object, obviously, with this garden, and that's fine. One of the things, not only solar, but a lot of statues.
He's got 35 statues at least. And I've been to this garden, this home and garden, at least 100 times. And every time I go there, I'll see something and say, has that been there all along? Yeah, it has. There's so much stuff. Your mind can't bring it all in,
I'm amazed that the dogs seem to be pretty happy in this particular situation.
Yeah, they're just the dogs are wonderful. I mean, they had their own pond, and they can entertain guests and run around. And the two dogs who are now in dog heaven would wait at the bottom of the hill for one of the golf carts, which the Morrises call the piglets, to come by.
Okay.
They'd get on and ride to the top of the hill.
Oh, and dinosaurs and wow, just all sorts of fab. I can't believe that anybody would put in an ant farm, but then that's a totally different story here.
These ants are about 18 inches long and about 12 inches high, and they're brass with rocks for their bodies. And John found some somewhere here in this country, and then couldn't find any more, so he had a bunch more fabricated in southern Mexico and set up here, and they're going up trees, and they're all over the place in the ant garden, which I'd never heard of an ant garden before that time.
Well, and cloches and all sorts of the gardens with miniature gardens within a garden. I think that's really very fascinating.
Really
and you can't really put the book down. I mean, you go through it and you see something, and you did a great job on the writing of that kind of thing. The owner didn't quite know how to put it all together, but I guess with your help, it really came together. That's amazing.
The way the whole thing started was when I was visiting the garden to write up a short story for the local paper on gardens that were going to be on the local garden tour. And the first trip there, I said, how am I going to do this justice in 750 words? And the second time I was there several years later, I said to John, you've got to write a book about this place. And he said, I love to talk, but I hate to type. I said, John, I can type. And we became partners, and with a handshake. That was our contract. And it's been wonderful. Both Ann and John are remarkable friends. I mean, I consider them very, very close friends, and love them dearly. So it's been a benefit in many ways.
Well, I can understand that, and of course, you and I have been connected with the Garden Writers for years and years and years, and I'm sure you hope you put this in for a prize coming up. It's nomination, I hope.
I did.
Okay, yeah. Got to follow through all these kind of good things. Richard, we're going to take a little break right now and then get back, because I want to find out where people can buy the book and all the technical part of it, and say, hey, you got to have this book, everybody that's listening to this show. And we're talking with Richard Tracy, Dick Tracy, a dear friend of mine, and we're talking about the Troll Knoll, and it's a garden like no other, that's for sure. And we're going to be right back. This is Bob Tanem in the Garden, Talk Radio 560 KSFO.